He laughed at the grease-stained girl until she fixed his engine and disappeared forever. The sun blazed over the narrow highway as the sleek black car rolled to a sudden choking stop just outside a forgotten little town. Its polished exterior, custom rims, and aggressive engine growl had turned heads all day, a symbol of wealth and power. Inside sat a young billionaire, sharp suit, mirrored sunglasses, designer watch glinting in the light. He tapped impatiently on the steering wheel, already annoyed by the inconvenience. His world moved fast, and delays weren't welcome. Stepping out, he looked around. Dust rose in the air with every step, and the silence of the small town pressed in around him. A gas station stood a few yards away, half-rusted signs, peeling paint, and an old vending machine humming wearily in the heat. He popped the hood, pretending to inspect the engine, though it was clear he had no idea what he was looking at. Minutes passed, no mechanic in sight, no assistant to call, just the buzzing of a lazy fly and the occasional breeze rustling the dry trees. That's when she appeared. From behind the gas station, a girl emerged, no older than him, but the opposite in every way. Oil-streaked overalls hung loosely from her frame, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms stained with grease. Her hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, face smudged with dirt. Worn boots kicked up dust with each step. She approached slowly, cautiously, wiping her hands on a rag. Her eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the car. Then she looked at him. Just a glance, nothing more. He turned to face her, raising an eyebrow. A smirk curled on his lips. "You work here?" he asked, voice laced with sarcasm. She nodded. He chuckled, crossing his arms. "This car's worth more than this whole town. You sure you won't make it worse?" No response. She walked past him without a word, eyes on the engine. He watched her, half amused, half annoyed. Her silence unsettled him. She didn't look the part, not clean, not polished, not respectable in the way his world defined it. "Don't scratch the paint, all right?" he added, smug. Still nothing. She stood at the open hood, studying the engine like a puzzle she'd solved before. Her fingers moved with purpose. No hesitation, no need to prove anything. He leaned back, arms folded, expecting failure. For him, she was just another face in a place he'd never remember, a girl from nowhere, covered in dirt, offering unsolicited help. But something about her stillness, the confidence in her movements, made him pause just for a second. Still, he held on to his pride. He didn't need her. He was just letting her try. Entertainment, maybe. Nothing serious. With the hood already open, she barely hesitated. Her eyes scanned the engine compartment like a surgeon reading an X-ray. The mess of wires, belts, and polished metal didn't intimidate her. It invited her. Every component, every detail seemed familiar, like pieces of a language only she spoke. Her fingers, though rough and oil-stained, moved with precision. No wasted movement, no second guesses. The billionaire stood nearby, arms crossed, his confidence still intact. In his world, people with hands that dirty didn't touch machines that clean. Yet she ignored his gaze, his presence, his status. She was working. A quick twist here, a loosened bolt there. She removed a small cover, then reached into the engine's core, tracing a hidden fault line. Within moments, she found it. A faulty sensor and a minor leak, issues that would cost a fortune and hours in a luxury garage, but she didn't flinch. She walked to the station's back, returning with a few old parts, a rusted toolbox, and a piece of scrap wire. Not a single new component, just broken things made useful again. She rewired the connector, sealed the leak with improvised tools, and adjusted the ignition timing using nothing more than intuition and experience. The engine, once lifeless, now responded. A twist of the key, a rumble, then the smooth, unmistakable hum of a high-performance machine back to life. He watched in disbelief. This wasn't luck, this was mastery. She didn't just fix the problem, she understood the machine better than the engineers who designed it. And she did it in silence, with patience, and without once asking for guidance, help, or permission. The heat pressed down, dust clung to her skin, yet she remained focused until the very last step. She wiped her hands again, double-checked her work, and gently shut the hood, without slamming it, without any sign of arrogance. He didn't know what to say. In his world, people proved their worth through resumes, portfolios, and reputation. She had none of that, just dirty clothes and quiet brilliance. His earlier smirk faded into a stunned expression. This girl, whom he'd laughed at minutes ago, had done what few could do in that moment. Not only had she repaired his car, she dismantled something inside him, his pride, his assumptions, his ego. He stared at her, half expecting her to boast, to ask for payment, to explain herself. But she didn't. She just stood there, calm, wiping the last smear of oil from her hands. In her silence was power. In her work was truth. The billionaire, for the first time in a long time, found himself speechless, not because She stepped back from the car, her hands now mostly clean, the rag tucked into her pocket. The engine purred like it had never faltered, and her job was done. No boast, no extended glance, no demand for recognition, just a quiet nod in his direction, a gesture that felt more like closure than acknowledgement. He opened his mouth, a thank you half-formed, but the words caught behind pride, still lingering in his throat. 1,000 questions waited to be asked. Her name, where she learned, why she helped. But he hesitated, thinking she wasn't going anywhere. She was already walking away. Her steps were slow, deliberate, like someone who didn't expect to be followed. Back toward the back of the gas station, where rusted tools and forgotten things seemed to gather. He turned for a second, checking his phone, maybe out of habit, maybe to ground himself in the familiar. When he looked up again, she was gone. No sign of her down the road. No sound of a door closing, no shadow disappearing around a corner. Just empty space where she had been standing seconds ago. The town felt even quieter now, as if it had swallowed her whole. Confused, he walked toward the building. A lone clerk stood behind the dusty counter, half asleep, barely noticing the billionaire's expensive presence. He asked about the girl, the one in overalls, the mechanic. The clerk only shrugged. "Don't know anyone like that," he muttered. "No mechanic here, not for years." The billionaire insisted, described her in detail. The clerk blinked, then shook his head again. "Maybe you saw someone passing through. Ain't from here, that's for sure." He stepped back outside, looked around. The sun hadn't moved much. The air was still thick with heat and silence. There were no cars on the road, no footprints in the dirt, nothing disturbed, no hint she had ever been there. He circled the area, scanned behind the gas station, checked the garages and sheds. All locked, all empty. It made no sense. A girl that capable, that composed, didn't just disappear. And yet, there was nothing to hold on to. No name, no trace, not even a thank you accepted. just a repaired engine and a question that now lingered louder than the car's roar. He stood there longer than he meant to, the hum of the engine behind him almost mocking. The billionaire, who had conquered boardrooms and brokered billion-dollar deals, suddenly felt outmatched, not by skill, but by mystery. She hadn't asked for anything, hadn't stayed for credit. Her silence echoed louder than applause. Her absence felt more powerful than presence. And just like that, she was a ghost, written into the dust of a forgotten town, leaving behind only... The road back to the city felt longer than it should have. The car ran flawlessly, yet his thoughts were restless. The silence inside the cabin was no longer peaceful. It was loud, echoing with a question that refused to fade. She hadn't just repaired a machine. She had left a mark deeper than any dent or scratch. Her face, her hands, her steady silence, they looped in his mind like a song without an end. By the next morning, curiosity had mutated into fixation. For a man who had everything tracked, scheduled, and optimized, her disappearance felt like a glitch in the system, unacceptable. He dispatched his assistant to contact the local county records, hired private investigators, scrubbed the area with drones and data. Footage from traffic cams, local CCTV, even satellite images, everything was requested. The gas station had a single outdated camera, barely functional. The footage from that day? Glitched. The moment she appeared, static. The moment she was gone, clarity returned. The file was sent to digital analysts. They found nothing unusual, at least nothing they could explain. He returned to the town in person, parked the same car in the same place, talked to locals, posted flyers, offered large sums of money to anyone who could identify her. Waitresses, store owners, drifters. No one recognized the description. The clerk at the gas station barely remembered speaking to him. More money flowed into the search. An anonymous mechanic registry was scraped. He visited junkyards, garages, and roadside stations within a 200-mile radius. Still, nothing. Every trail led to silence. Every door opened to another blank wall. And the worst part, he couldn't understand why it mattered so much. She hadn't stolen anything. She hadn't asked for recognition. She hadn't even left her name. But her absence gnawed at him more than any deal lost or scandal weathered. He began dreaming about her, the same moment again and again, her hands reaching into the engine, her calm expression, her walking away without a single glance back. He started noticing the mechanics of things more, the hum of engines, the rattle of tools, the grease beneath fingernails, things he never cared about before. Those around him noticed a shift. Board meetings became shorter, his interactions distracted, his charm dulled. They thought he was hiding a personal crisis, and in a way, he was. Something unspoken that no amount of power or wealth could control. She had unraveled something, or maybe revealed something that had always been broken. With every search ending in silence, he grew quieter. He had built empires, predicted markets, manipulated people's desires, but he couldn't find one girl in overalls who fixed his car and vanished. And that failure, that mystery, was now the only thing in his life that felt real. Time passed, but the memory refused to fade. In the quiet corners of his days, between meetings, during late-night drives while staring at untouched meals, her image resurfaced. Not just her face, but her presence. The way she moved, wordless and unbothered. The way she made excellence feel effortless. The way she walked away like she owed no one anything, especially not him. What had begun as an obsession to find her gradually shifted into something else. Reflection. He had spent his entire life surrounded by